Yep. How you doing?
Your position group, from where they started to now, how far along do you feel you are, and are you ahead of where you thought you might be?
We are light years ahead. When spring started, I told them that one of my favorite quotes is from, Greg the Shark Norman, great golfer, right? And he talked about when you have to try and get a score, like a lower score in your thing, that aptitude starts with attitude, right? And so when we change the culture in the room in terms of the attitude and how we attack the day, they had to learn that first before we could start working about X's and O's and technique and stuff. That all that stuff was taught, but I would say that the last 4 practices, we have gotten better every day. You either get better or you get worse. There's no staying the same. They have gotten better these last 4 practices, and the stuff that we've repeatedly done, and we are starting to master it a little bit. And then, but now we're throwing more install at them, and there's more for them to learn. And so we give them the grace to fall. And so they got to go out there and try and execute, and then now they're learning more things, and so it kind of piles on. But I'm happy with where we're at. Not where we want to be, but I'm happy with where we're at right now.
Does it feel different now coming off of the full padded hitting practice on Saturday and then today than maybe it had the first several practices? Does it feel like now you're really doing football?
Yeah, I mean, as a line coach, when we go out there in jerseys and shorts, it kind of feels like a glorified 7-on-7, and we're just kind of there in the way. And it doesn't become real football until you put the pads on and you start banging. So, it's a little bit like those first days, like you're chumming the water, and then all of a sudden, you get into it and you put the pads on, the sharks are in the water going and attacking, So much better that way.
What is that attitude and culture you're trying to develop? What do you want? How do you want them to play? How do you explain that to them?
I think it's important as an offensive line that you have an identity. And so how we approach every day, like who you are off the field is who you're going to be on the field. And so mastering your craft in terms of the classroom, who you are in the community, who you are on campus, that goes hand in hand with what you are in the meeting room, and then that'll turn into what you are on the field. And so we have to have an identity of what that is. And so we've kind of coined ourselves the militia, spelling it MOLITIA for the Massachusetts O-line, right? And that's so I went into kind of detail of what the militia actually was, and on guard, ready to go at the drop of a hat to fight for something that you believe in, right? And think about what those guys did for this country. And it's kind of similar in the same thing. The way that we attack every day, we got to be ready, we got to be prepared. And the one thing that we got to do is make that a part of our aspect of everyday life. And so it's an accountability thing. And so we're holding each other to a certain standard. And so guys are able to call each other out, right? I don't believe there's such thing as a lead by example guy, right? If you think about what lead by example means, it's being there on time, doing what you're supposed to do, always doing right. Well, that's called the bare minimum, right? That's what everybody should be doing, right? A real leader and is a guy that articulates his thoughts and uses his voice, and so holds himself accountable, but also holds others accountable. We're human. We're going to make mistakes, so it's okay to be able to lead, okay, in this day and age. And you make your own mistakes, but when you see it, you got to call it out and hold each other to a certain standard. And I like where we're at as an offensive line as far as that's concerned.
Along those lines, you talked about the grace to fall. What does that entail, and how do you communicate with them?
So, without failure, there is no success. When you're a little kid and you're learning a baby and learning how to walk, like you didn't fall down and your parents didn't go, oh, well, he's not a walker, right? No, they helped you up, or you started getting up on the table and you started to take, 1 foot in front of the other until next thing you know, you're running, and that's kind of the same thing. So if I'm teaching a technique, if I'm teaching some sort of assignment in terms of scheme, right? Don't go with what's comfortable and revert back to what you've always done. If you fall and you fail in terms of that executing that technique, but it's something that is taught, eventually you're going to master it, right? I'm from Chicago, so Jordan. Everyone talks about how his last second shots, but he missed more of those last second shots than he made. But no one remembers those, right? So, but he had the confidence. So I'm giving you the grace to make mistakes, right? We'll coach it on tape. Play with effort, play with attitude, okay, and try and execute what's being taught, and then we'll coach it on the back end, and then you'll master it. But you got to go and put yourself out there and not be afraid to go and make mistakes.
What's the biggest on-the-field technical thing that you've tried to instill into your group?
Finish. When I turned on the tape when I first got here and watched all the guys in games, watched everyone that didn't play in a game, watched their practice, how we finish. To me, finish is taught. It's not something that you turn a switch on and think that it's just going to happen on game day. So every drill that we do, every team rep, everything that we do, it's all about the finish. If we finish, from the snap through the echo of the whistle, okay, and we train that way, we'll play that way. So that's one of the things. Now, as far as like scheme and all that stuff, it's obviously a completely different offense. It's all new terminology, different techniques, and so they were all kind of starting at square one. But we're getting there, and I like where we're at.
What has the challenge been like for you to work with guys that are here now at spring practice with guys coming in during the summer?
Yeah, so with those guys that are committed, we're doing Zoom stuff with them so that they're getting the mental reps of what they're doing. We've had Kyle Brown's come up and came to a practice, sat in on meetings, and so you coach the guys that you have right now, right? And then you got to coach and prepare those other guys, and it's until we kick off that ball, against Bryant, we're not naming starters. So you're going to come in and if you're shying away from competition, you're not going to thrive in this environment. So we'll take as many great players as we can and add them to the room. And the one thing that I will say is that I'm never going to bring somebody here that doesn't fit with the culture here or doesn't make our room better in terms of who they are as people. I want good people first, and then we'll coach the player up from that.
Thanks, Coach.